Hi everybody, welcome back to the Desmoquattro channel and a slight change in direction today. Going to be stripping down a Panigale 1199 engine. So my plan is to put this into two videos. First video being today's. I'm hoping to take the heads off, all of the side covers and everything to do with the side of the engine, so generator, rotor, clutch, etc. And then in the second video we'll take the bottom end apart, split the cases and get the crank and the internal gears etc. out, as well as the sump etc. off. As I go along I'll try and point out any differences between the last generation of Testastretta engines and then the Panigale engine. So there is quite a lot of difference. Most visibly as you look at it externally, there's no belts, so it's gear driven. So let's get into it and start with the first bits of work. Okay, so first off what I'm going to do is just take off some of the little odds and sods that are on the outside of the engine that I'm not going to be needing. So oil pressure sensor, the neutral switch that had the plug rip off as I was doing the engine. I'll also take off, as you can just see up here, the intake manifolds, just because I want them separated from the heads. Right, so let's grab some spanners and do those. 12mm spanner for this first bit. $16mm. Crankshaft sensor. Oh, got that round the wrong way. 8mm. Bit of resistance in there because it sits against an O-sill, and that just, obviously with being plastic, it's got a bit sticky. Next off I'm going to take this water manifold off, so I just need to take off the two hoses that go to the heads. Then I've got 3 8mm bolts in the centre there. Let me just grab the necessary tools. Right, let's take the manifolds off. Let's take the crankcase breather off at the top. Little seal just holding that in. Right, next I'm going to be taking off the alternate cover because I don't do many Panigales. I bought a flywheel removal tool but I don't have a generator cover removal tool, so hopefully we can just overcome the magnetic pull by getting a screwdriver in behind it and just leave that case off, but that's not the correct way of doing it, by the way. Alright. Long reach needed for these two. I've got a stand up on them. Okay, let's see what we can do. Very stiff. Not the ideal way of doing it, but just to prove you can do it without the special tools. Now obviously you can see one of the big changes between the Panigale series of engines and the Testastrettas. We're chain driven. This has currently got the tension on, which is held up, oh, you can't see my finger, which is held on by a tensioner just up here, which we will be slackening off. Here's the flywheel, and then you've got your trigger wheel just behind it for your injection, and you can see this has multiple trigger points, so those of you who are gurus in your fuel injection mapping will know that the more pickups you have on the rotation of the engine, the more accurate you can make your injection mapping, which is something that is well outside of my skill level. So we need to get this off now, so I need to find a way to hold the engine. What I might do first though is take the cover off on the other side, just to see if that gives me something that I can leverage against the crank gear set, so that I can take this off safely. So what I'm going to do is spin the engine round and come back to you in a second when it's round the other way, and we'll get the water pump cover side off, or the clutch cover side off, whichever you wish to call it. Okay, let's take the clutch cover off. Again, got some standoff studs that will need the longer reach deep socket. Okay, case is sealed like a lot of them, but I do have some lever points to be able to pull the cover off. So there's one there. Get the stitching off. There we go. Ooh. Still a little bit of oil in there. It's still stuck at the top. There we go. So, what are we looking inside here? You've got your wet clutch assembly, then you've got the gears that take you up to your water pump drive. So, interestingly, you'll notice that we've got steel, and then like a fibre type arrangement for the water pump drive. In the World Superbike engines, they change these for metal. I should assume for it's more reliable. Interesting, they're quite flimsily mounted as well, which is quite surprising. So, I wonder if it's giving me somewhere else to lock against. I mean, I could lock against the main gear wheels there, and that might be enough. Normally there's a special tool that goes around the outside of the flywheel and the crank trigger wheel, and that would be bolted to the cases, and so you could undo this nut. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jam the gears on the other side and then just buzz this nut out. Oh, I hope you were recording. Were you recording? Yes. There we go. Now I do have the special tool to remove the flywheel. So that's in, ready to go. But what I'm going to do just before I take this off is I am just going to pop out the spark plugs, get this into horizontal top dead center so that everything closes off, and then that way if I disrupt anything in this bottom end, I'm not going to damage anything in the heads. Right, so let me just get myself set up. So spark plugs come out using a 14mm socket. You need a thin wall one though, because my normal socket wouldn't go in. Okay, I'm going to put it into horizontal top dead center now. Which looks to be about there. Okay, so take tension off there, and there's one at the back side as well, just so that we can loosen off the chains. Then we'll start pulling out some of the gear wheels and that. Pretty standard spring tensioner, same as you get on most cars. Okay, there we are. Let's now take off the flywheel assembly. Oh, I need to lock. There we go. Okay. There's a key there. Your rag, there we go. That needs a special tool, look at it. Yeah. Starter. Now should can now take the starter out. 2 bolts at the back. Pull out. Might need to give it a little tap. Go. Starter motor's off. Okay, let's get the head covers off. So now that I've loosened the chain tension off, I should be able to drop the covers off. Take the gasket off. Do the same at the top. I think that's been glued on by somebody. Okay, gasket was glued, hence why it was difficult to get off. Shouldn't really do that. Okay, we're going to take this cover off now as we start getting closer to removing these heads. Quite an involved process, this. There we go. Oh. Right, there's a little spacer in there, so just be careful of that when it comes apart. So we'll move the fixed slider, which is here. Oh, that was a little bit tetchy, that one. It started turning, which is not nice. Bolt in here. There goes our pin for our guide. Let's take this bottom one off. Okay. Can now slide that out. Also be able to take this one off. There we go. What I just need to do now is release the camshaft so I can remove the timing chain, because the gear wheel is stuck there at the moment. So let's get some 12 mils. Now, same as the Testastretta engine, you've got to be careful with these bolts because they're shallow head. So it'd be very easy to round them. a little bit to lever it up on. There we go. Pull one off, pull the other one off. Camshafts come out. 1, 2. I can now hopefully, he says, just grab onto that, just pull that out. There we go. There we go. That's out. Chains out. Whilst we've got it apart, everything in here should look pretty familiar to those of you that have taken Testastrettas apart before. You've got nice easy access to your opening arms and closing arms. So obviously on this side exhaust, that side intake. There's guide pins that are accessible from the side of the head that will enable you to take those arms out if you want. You've got good access to your opening shims and also your closing shims when the cams are out. Cams are slightly different in that we've got decompression lever on the exhaust side. I'm just putting these back now loosely because I don't need them to be misplaced, so just gonna put everything back in the correct way around. There we go. Put that one on there. And this is only because I don't want to misplace any of these important nuts and bolts. So I'm just going to loosely stick these back in for now. Now that I've taken the timing chain off on this head is basically good to come off. So I'm just going to make sure buzz these back in. Okay, let's just buzz those back up. Okay, so that's just loosely done up. It's just so that I don't misplace anything. What I just want to do is I want to make sure now that I can just pop this head off and then I can reassemble the bits and pieces on it. So head configuration is slightly different in terms of nuts and bolts you'd have to take off. So you've got 2 here, there is 1 in here, there is 1 just up in here, 1 here, 1 here, and then another one just in here, and 1 final bolt just in here. Just going to be taking this bolt off here now. Should be able to get them by hand now. So that's the horizontal head off. So on this side we're going to have to take the clutch out, probably take these gear wheels out. Then we need to do the same as we did the other side. We'll have to pop the camshafts out, loosen the guide rails, pull the timing chain off, and then we can take the head off. So let's start stripping the clutch first. Taking these off equally because they're under spring pressure. So we just need to make sure we don't risk breaking any of them as we take this spring plate out. That's the bulk of the tension out. Going to try and bring all the plates in a oneer. Sorry, just realised I'd taken the nut off without filming that, sorry. It's only a case of holding the basket and then buzzing it all off. Just taking the water pump drive off. Let's take this cap off. Lots of sealant, there we go. Need to take that cap out again. And then timing chain guide pins. Top one. Bottom one. Just need to take out the fixed one. That's now loose. Just put a bolt in up here. We'll drop the wheel down to get chain off from the bottom sprocket. Let's get the cams off so we can get access. Butterfingers. There we go. Means we can now pull the bottom gear off. Again, I'm just going to put this all back together. Drop the cams in, not worried about timing, just want to put them back. I'm going to stick that guide back in there. Okay, let's get the vertical head off now then, because we are just about there. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a funny little 8th one underneath there again. So, I'm going to take this one off first. Just so we don't forget that one. Then same up here. Oh, wrong way. Even the pros make mistakes. For those of you that worry about am I taking too much off there, I can only get about a really small portion of turn on there, so I like to just get a good quarter of a turn. So there we go, this one's not got a massive amount of space. It's got a bit of sticky dirt on it, stopping it from spinning freely. There we go. Right. Right, there we have it. We've taken most of the periphery items off, such as clutch, generator and that, and the heads are off. So as you can see, bottom end's left to strip. So I'm going to make this a natural break in this video, I think, because I want to do that separately in a slight bit more time. And I think I'm going to have to check the manual how this comes off, but I've got a feeling I might need a special tool to undo that. So watch this space. So I'll just need to find out how that comes off. But in the next video we'll strip that down. Okay, that's what one stripped down, or sorry, that's what one top end stripped down Panigale looks like. So as I said, good chance to break the video there before I do the bottom end. There you go, hope you enjoyed that video. A little bit of a different one for me. This is the first time I've actually ever stripped down a Panigale engine, so you're really following that process of learning with me. Followed the manual, but I also divert a little bit from the manual just to see how far I can push my luck when I do these things, because that's the only way you gain experience with the engines. I'm obviously missing a lot of the special tools, which is a bit challenging when you're trying to follow the manual as well. So there are a couple of sort of Heath Robinson approaches that I had to use to get parts off of the engine, so I apologise for that. This was certainly not a follow along stroke tutorial, so please don't use it as such. It's just me exploring an engine that I don't need these cases, so I need everything else that's in it. So therefore I could take a little bit of risks and see why the manual says how to do things and what happens if you don't. So I did experiment a little bit through that. But hope you enjoyed following me along through that process. And the next video, subject to me checking about this castellated nut on here, if I need a special tool for it to get it off. Next video will be me taking the bottom end apart and splitting the cases. So please tune in for that, and hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, chuck us a like. Any questions or comments, stick them down below and I'll endeavour to answer them. And if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and notification bell for more upcoming content. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Cheers then. Bye.